What is up, everyone? It's your boy CP from CP New York Sports. We are live here on the very first live of the True Knicks Talk podcast. I am joined by special guest Hollywood Ray from That's My Sports podcast. What is up, man? How are you doing today? Thank you for joining me.
No, I'm glad to be on, man. You know, you've been killing it with my co-host Aaron, man. He's been you guys have been thriving, and I love to see the content you guys have been putting together and putting out there. So I know there's more to come. So that part's exciting. So yeah, I'm glad that I can get a piece of the action. So thanks for having me.
Definitely, of course. And of course, we're here to talk about the Celtics Knicks opening up tip off here at 7:30 tonight, game 1 of 82, as you can see on your screen. Just want to give you a chance to sort of shout yourself out here. We'll do so at the end as well, but make sure you're telling the audience about what you're doing, where they can find you out, and
Yeah,
got some band here. So
yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, man. Yeah. So as you see, so at the bottom of your screen, yes, my X handle, Twitter handle, whatever you want to call it, is _ the Big Wale. And yes, you can subscribe to That's My Sports on YouTube. I'm also on another platform called Missing the Point, and you can follow that at MTP_pod. So they said we're also on Twitter, at YouTube, all that good stuff, Spotify, iHeartMedia, or iHeartRadio, I should say. So yeah, so on those two shows, and MTP talks more about Boston. So we talk all things Boston, and TMS we talk about just about everything else. So it's a blessing to be a part of both.
definitely make sure you guys tap in with MTP and That's My Sports. Some great content coming out on both channels. I definitely am checking out both of those as well. I'm not a Boston fan, but I'll definitely enjoy some sports discourse
Yeah.
anytime I can get it. You all know where to find me already. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Definitely bottom right-hand corner if you're watching this live right now. X, Instagram as well, all the same handle at CPNY Sports. And make sure you're supporting the stream. Hit that thumbs up. Comment your thoughts. Any live comments we get. I know I shot this link out to a lot of people. Hopefully get some listeners, get some different input and perspectives on things. That's why I want to have you on as well, get the Boston perspective, and we'll go about that way. So let's get into it, man. Got some various topics today. I'm so excited for this season. So let's just get right into it. We see last year's results, 2022 to 2023 season. Obviously, the Knicks had somewhat of a successful season compared to what we usually have been putting up over the past decade. So Jalen Brunson was definitely a big part of that, and we'll definitely get into that. But I wanted to get your perspective in terms of the Boston Celtics. And, they were definitely considered one of the favorites to come out of the East and get to the finals. And unfortunately for you, they fell short, obviously, in Game 7 to the Miami Heat, who ended up losing to the inevitable champion Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic and company. So just want to get your perspective in terms of how you thought last season ended. Was it still a success in your eyes, which is kind of hard to say that it was just from an outsider's perspective, but we'll also talk about some of the over-under projections for 2023 and 2024. So let me hear it, man. I want to hear your thoughts about last season and some predictions going into this season.
Yeah, so got to go back to last offseason, right? Because obviously last offseason was, it got crazy very quickly because it was pretty quiet. And then next thing you know, you hear Adrian Wojnarowski saying, they're going to suspend Ime, and then obviously ended up letting him go, with him now being down in Houston. And, this all happened like 3 or 4 days before training camp. So we're like, okay, you lose the coach that got you to the finals. His philosophy was starting to work. So there was a lot of turmoil, and there was a lot of uncertainty around Joe Mazzulla and just what was he going to be. Now, they came out the gate on fire. I think they were 21-5, I think, in their first 26 games last year. And you're like, okay, they're maybe don't have it all together, but they're on a mission to say, okay, good coach, bad coach, it doesn't matter. We're coming in here and doing whatever. I still think at times they, fell into the trap of, losing to bad teams. So that stretch against Orlando last year, they always find a way to lose to inferior teams, and it's really mind-boggling as a fan to watch it. But yeah, you get to the playoff run. They run through Atlanta pretty easily, where they actually look like a 2 seed. Then beating Philadelphia, that was a really good series. That went 7 games. Tatum gave a great performance in Game 7. And then Miami has done what they've done with us. Miami has been a team that is mentally tough. They're coached well. And once again, they never have the most talent on the court, but they outthink you, they outplay you, and they out execute you. So That's what happened there. And yeah, people could say, oh, Tatum got he turned over his ankle. And yeah, that was a factor, but they should have been down 3-0 to that team. Once again, it was cool that they fought back to get to a game 7, and once again, I'm removed from it because in the moment I was pissed, obviously, having them seeing them down 3-0, but just giving the bird's eye view now, like it was cool to see it go 7, but it was unfortunate that they fell short. So I'm glad that Wick Grossbeck and Steve Paliuka, Mike Zarin, Austin Ainge, and Brad Stevens got together and said, hey, what could we do to make a tweak or a major change to the team? And that's what they did over the summer.
I was going to say, like, that 3-0 comeback to force game 7, and I don't even think game 7 was close, if I remember correctly. It was sort of a blowout game, right?
It was over at halftime, honestly.
Yeah, and that was just, like, sort of, like, the biggest tease, you know what I mean? Especially if you're a Celtics fan, I can imagine. And so, I mean, just your point about the Heat, too. Like, obviously, we saw them the round before. They beat us in 6. Like, nobody really thought that he had it in him to make that type of run. Obviously, you got Jimmy Butler. He's solidified in the playoffs. He's going to show up in the playoffs. But I think you said it, the coaching, Eric Spoelstra gets those guys ready. And not only that, and I'll talk about the Knicks here in a second in terms of how our season went and our playoff run went, but like the physicality, right, of the Miami Heat is something that not a lot of teams can match. And that's what really impresses me about the Heat. And like, you can never count them out. They were a play-in team. So to get to where they got was definitely impressive. And hats off to them. I don't like the Heat by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, they got some dogs on that team. So
that's for sure. No, I mean, listen, trust me, we don't like them up here either. But I want to say that what I'm about to say to you might actually surprise you. But you actually may believe it being a Knicks fan. I firmly believe if you guys had got to the conference finals against us, you guys would have been going to the finals. I firmly believe that. And once again, this is me being objective. This is not, it's Boston, New York. No, from looking at the regular season and how RJ Barrett turns into to John Starks against us, Mitchell Robinson turned into Patrick Ewing against us, right? I firmly believe it. I think it still would have took 7 games, but I firmly believe that you guys would have been going to the finals last year, and we would have lost because for whatever reason, and I think it's because of how Tibbs coaches. Any team that plays hard against Boston and plays physical, and like I said, we'll see a little bit of that tonight. We preview that later on in the show. We just have a tough time against. Maybe that changes now with the new roster. But I know from this past years past, I feel like you guys have had our number. Once again, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. So
yeah, and I was gonna say we definitely did play you all tough in the regular season, and if that was any indication in terms of what that matchup would have looked like, I definitely agree with you non-biasedly. Like we would have at least gave you all a run to 7. It could have definitely went either way. The Knicks always throw me in for a loop in terms of close games because we just somehow find a way to. We should be winning the game and then we fail to ice it. And then somehow, some way we end up losing a close game. But the physicality of the Knicks roster and the team throughout the season, the consistency of the team definitely made me proud. And it's a stepping stone. I hope to see that starting tonight. And like you said, we'll talk about it. I want to shout out some guys in the chat. My boy Josh tuning in here as well. Denver Nuggets fan. Congrats to him on that championship. We'll see if the Nuggets can replicate that. We got Aaron in the house, my co-host on Feeling Blue. I know you're co-host on TMS. Wow, he never looks. Look at this guy.
Oh my God. Here we go, Aaron. All right. That's good. All right.
Exactly. I love it, man. He says Jimmy Butler's a dog. I definitely agree with you. Josh says Knicks are not going to 7 the Celtics. I completely disagree.
Yeah,
I think
I disagree too. I'm sorry. Like once again, we're taking the bias out of it. We're not. Once again, the talent. Yes, the talent wise on paper, we know it shouldn't go 7. But once again, you got to play on the court. You got to play. And once again, RJ Barrett plays tough against us. Julius Randle plays tough. And then once again, Josh Hart did really well because I feel every team in the NBA needs a guy like Josh Hart. I just do. I was pissed when he went from Portland to New York. I was like, if he's available, you go get him. And then obviously you guys got him at the deadline. You're turning into Villanova East. So Jay Wright should be next apparently. If that's the case, so we'll see. But yeah, no, it definitely would have went 7 at least. And like I said, I would not have been surprised if Mike Breen would have been on the call saying, going to the finals for the first time since 1999, your New York Knickerbockers. Like it would have been. I firmly believe that. So I can say that without bias.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just a stepping stone. I mean, Jalen Brunson obviously had a lot to do with our success first year as a Knick. I mean, how he didn't make the All-Star game is still like I have no idea how that happened or didn't happen, I should say. What was that?
So he got a shot now with that. They're going back to that format of just East versus West.
Oh yeah. I did see that. So yeah, I mean, I expect big things. Jalen Brunson's a dog. We all saw what he did with the Mavs, carrying that team as far as they did without Luka for that stretch of period 2. Got the bag. Obviously, there's some tampering allegations there in terms of Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson, being the coach of the Knicks already. But they got him in the house, and the rest is history. Wild stat, mind-boggling stat. I saw that earlier from, I forgot the guy's name on X, but first time since 08-09, Chris Duhon, the Knicks are trotting out the same point guard in back-to-back seasons. First time since 08-09.
Chris Duhon, wow. What a casual name job, as we say on our show. Wow, Chris Duhon. Exactly. Yeah, I'm not a Duke fan, but he was a great player in Duke.
For sure. So yeah, like I said, it was definitely a season to build off of. The Knicks. The Celtics obviously probably didn't reach their full potential in terms of where we thought they were going to be at in terms of beating the Miami Heat. I definitely, going into that series, predicted you all to come out of it. But moving a little bit of ahead here, you see the over-under projections for the Knicks and Celtics both. You got 45.5 wins for the Knicks. I think we notched 47 last year. You can see here 47-35 was our record. And you got 54.5 for the Celtics, with 57 games being won for the Celtics. Where do you see the Celtics at primarily? And then also, do you think the Knicks can go above 45.5 here in terms of the betting odds?
Yeah, so I'll go with you guys first. I think that you guys go over 45. And once again, because of how hard, like you can't be on the court for Tom Thibodeau if you don't play hard. So like I said, Jalen Brunson showed me something. Like I said, I did not agree with that signing at the time. Once again, I thought he was a good player, but he showed me something last season. I was like, oh, okay, like this wasn't just something because you were playing next to Luka. Like you can actually hoop for real. So it was dope to see him. So yeah, I would say I can see it actually getting to 50. I can see it getting to 50 if everything goes right. Once again, I think defensively, you guys did. Once again, I love Mitchell Robinson. I think that he's once again, I know he doesn't have much offensively he offers, but I think defensively he can be a game changer down there. He has to be, because Julius Randle is not that guy defensively. So he has to kind of clean up those mistakes, so to speak. But yeah, I can see it getting to 50 if everyone's healthy and doing their part on New York side. Before the Celtics, yeah, I do think on my show, missing the point, I initially had said 65, and I thought that was a little too bullish, because I was a little too hyped, I think, early on. So I gave 5 games. I still think they win about 60 games. Which means, they would have to go around 15-5, 4 different times, which that makes it sound super simple. I'm going to have moments where they piss me off, and you can definitely have me back on so I can go off on them. I think we see you guys again November 13th, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll probably be working that one, but I could do something before then.
Definitely have you back on
if you need me. But yeah, I can totally see it happening. But yeah, I think 60 games, everything goes right. I'm not looking for them to – seeding doesn't matter to me as much, because I'm like, look, as long as you get in there, find a way to win. I know it's not hockey, that's a little different, but find a way to get in as long as you're not playing a team, and go from there.
Aaron over here, 72-10.
I'd rather the championship than 72-10. Now, if you go 72-10 and you win it, then fine, okay, great. But sure. I'm not. I don't want. Once again, I'm a Bruins fan too. I just saw the best regular season of all time, and they lost in the first round, so that means nothing to me. If you want to win more than 50 games, great, cool. I want to see you in June, and I want to be there because I work there. I want to see them hosting the Larry O'Brien Trophy, because I was there when Golden State won it, and Draymond said, "I got 4 motherfuckers in my face."
Wow.
Yeah. I was pissed. Yeah.
Jesus.
I was
Man, I was
mad.
gonna say I
Yeah,
didn't want to throw salt in the wound with
yeah,
that Boston Bruins
yeah.
reference,
I mean,
but
that's a cool moment I can always share with somebody. I was like, for Draymond Green to look at me and say, "Yeah, I got 4, motherfucker. What's up?" And I'm holding the rope as he's holding the trophy. I'm just like, I'm like, I want to say something so
yeesh.
badly, and I cut it because they would have been like, "Oh, you can't speak to the." But I was like, "Yo, so he can say something to me, but I can't respond." Like I was so mad. I
I would have been pissed,
was
man.
so
Draymond
mad.
Green is
It
like
was a cool
villain of
moment. I was
the NBA.
pissed. I was pissed.
Definitely, definitely. I'll just to reiterate your point. Like I could see the Knicks notching 50, just short and sweet to the point here. I can see the Celtics getting to 60 wins as well.
Mm,
I am gonna go over, even if the Celtics don't reach that full 60 mark. I will go over on both.
yeah.
I think the Knicks are 50 game bound, 50 game winners. So um, we got better. We'll talk about the offseason moves here. Buddy of mine, before we started this, asked me for a quick finals prediction. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna give mine. Then I'm gonna ask you yours. Just a little bit of off topic here. I think that objectively, and we'll talk about the starting lineups here. I think objectively, the Boston Celtics, if Kristaps stays healthy, have the best starting 5 in the NBA. I firmly believe that. The Nuggets are gonna have to prove to me that they're able to get back into the same spot. They're able to overcome that little hump that they had, that playoff sort of drought that they had. And I'm happy for Nikola Jokic. But I mean, the West is still no joke. I think the Lakers got better. You still got the Golden State Warriors in the mix. The Suns, if they finally figure it out, can have, a deep run. I'm going to go Nuggets Celtics as my finals matchup. What are you taking to this year?
So as a fan, I would like to see Celtics Suns as a fan. Like as a Celtics fan, Celtics Suns I think would be dope. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Milwaukee Denver. Wouldn't be surprised.
I was
I
going to
think
say,
yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I think they're gearing towards obviously they're still trying to build the game globally. To have the two MVPs of Giannis and Jokic to be European MVPs, I think that would be huge for the game if that was the case. So I wouldn't be
mhm.
surprised if that happened. Because there would be so many selling points there with that. So once again, as a fan, subjectively, I would want Celtics versus Suns, but objectively, I think that it could be Milwaukee versus Denver in the end.
Definitely, definitely. And like I said, Milwaukee, well, I mean, I'll definitely talk about Milwaukee on this podcast at some point too. I know a couple of Bucks fans maybe have one on the pod, get their perspective on things, but it's just hard. Like I know what Dame Lillard brings as a scorer, but like, man, I mean, I think Drew Holiday, who's now with y'all, we'll talk about the addition here, shortly, is
Mhm.
huge, especially in terms of the defensive side of the ball. So before we get into some of the offseason moves here, I just want to reiterate, make sure that thumbs up, commenting, everybody watching this live, even if you're not commenting, at that thumbs up. Tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe to the channel, hit us all up here at That's My Sports and at CPNY Sports as well. So I definitely appreciate the support there. Let's move on, man, because I honestly will start with the Knicks because we didn't do too much in this offseason. I know that there's some speculation, some rumors surrounding, Joel Embiid, maybe a Karl Anthony Towns. I know you're talking about that. That's My Sports on your guys' episode yesterday. You already know my thoughts and opinions on the whole situation there with Embiid and Cat. I'm very vocal about that. I'll say
Yeah.
get Cat or keep Cat away from New York City, not because I don't like him as a person. I think that he's a great person, both on and off the court, but like I don't think he's built for New York, and especially not with making, or he's going to be making over 60 M's now. So I don't see that fit, but it's certainly still is a possibility from what I'm hearing. Obi Toppin got traded. It's unfortunate how Obi Toppin's tenure as a New York Knick went. It really is unfortunate. There was some speculation about some drama surrounding that Miami Heat series in the playoffs. I'm still not sure if that was ever confirmed, whether he got into a shouting match with Tom Thibodeau, but to say the least, Obi Toppin definitely was underutilized by Tom Thibodeau. So I do not blame Obi Toppin for being frustrated. With that being said, I didn't really see also any progression out of Obi Toppin's game, to be honest with you, especially on the offensive side of the ball, like we saw with his career at Dayton. So we'll remain. I'll reserve my thoughts on that in terms of the whole Obi Toppin situation and the fallout. We'll see how he does in Indiana. I think a fresh start could be great for him. But we did get Dante DiVincenzo, one of the absolute needs of this team, and we saw in that Miami Heat series in the playoffs was outside shooting and lack thereof. Josh Hart went cold. I mean, RJ Barrett had a great start to the series, but kind of faded out a little bit. And we just didn't have that outside shooting to match the Miami Heat's outside shooting. And even you all have great outside shooting, and that's something that the Knicks desperately lack. Now, Dante DiVincenzo definitely addresses that need, but is it enough? And that's what we'll see here shortly, in due time. And obviously, going down the list, Derrick Rose got parted ways with Derrick Rose. He's now with Memphis. Didn't pick up his option. Great to see him actually presumably getting playing time in Memphis. Hopefully, he wasn't going to touch the floor in New York. The Knicks are only getting younger. They're a young team, only getting younger, and I like the philosophy. Keep it going that way. Josh Hart, like you said, I just want to say this. I don't ever want to knock a young player in their career. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what I'm surrounding my podcasting, sort of tenure as. Like, I don't want to knock players, especially still early in their career. But the Cam Reddish hive that was within the New York's fan base when he was here for a short amount of time was absolutely ridiculous, especially the reactions that we got when we parted ways with him in the first round pick for Josh Hart. And Josh Hart is one of the key reasons. You even said it yourself just a short bit ago. Every team needs a guy like Josh Hart on their squad.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, why are we still talking about Cam Reddish? I still see Cam Reddish on my timeline within the Knicks fan base to this day, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So,
you know what it is though? I think every fan base has players that they just, for whatever, just feverishly like. Sure. I know here, Semi Ojeleye was a guy here I couldn't stand. I thought he was bastarda, trash, garbage, whatever word you want to use. And it was people up and down the timeline on Celtics Twitter at the time, like, oh, like Semi has to play more. He can hit the corner three. And because he had one decent series against Giannis, it literally changed. Oh, he's got to play. No, he doesn't. The man can't shoot. The man can't finish at the rim. Now he was super strong, and once again, he did very well against Giannis. That one said yes, he did great. But that literally got him 2 extra years in Boston that wasn't necessary. So trust me, I get it. I thought Cam Reddish was going to be better than what he was. I thought he was going to be the most ready besides Zion. Out those 3 that went in the top 10 in 2019. But yeah, sometimes it takes longer for players, and who knows? Maybe he'll flourish more. And I think is he in Portland still, or did he go somewhere else? He's still in Portland?
I think he's in Portland still. Yeah.
He's once again, he's gonna have to carve out time because once again, you're behind Scoot, you're behind Shaedon Sharpe. So that it's a youth movement over there too. And once again, he's not so super veteran or whatever. So he has time to carve a niche for himself out in his league still. As a 3-point shooter, as a wing defender. He's going to have to turn into the guy he got traded for, and Josh Hart, to still be in his league for years to come. So we'll see. But like I say, I don't get it either. It's just I just think there's always 2 or 3 players that fans just feverishly go bananas for. Taco Fall was another guy in Boston. I'm just like, dude, like it'd be great if he could play, but he's 7'5". He moves 1 mile a minute. Like it's ridiculous. So. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't get it, but that's probably an explanation as to why it still happens.
Definitely, and I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say this right now. My limited, I watch the Celtics here and there, but Semi Ojeleye is not it, man. Like that guy is terrible. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah,
that doesn't make no sense. But to round out the Knicks offseason, obviously the big kicker here is that we now know that Quickley is set to become a restricted free agent, right? Anybody can give him an offer sheet. His Knicks' tenure in the vision that we have for Quickley is still a little bit murky. I mean, I think Tom Thibodeau went out and said that he definitely is a fan of Quickley and he definitely wants to see him stay on the squad. Obviously, we'll see how the front office really goes about things there. But I know you thought it was a mistake to not re-sign him in that deadline. Obviously, was a 6th man of the year candidate last year. Obviously, lost it to Brogdon. Is Brogdon still with you all? Is Brogdon?
No, he was in a deal for Drew, so he's in Portland now too.
That's what I figured. Okay, so
Rob, and then a couple of first rounders went over to Portland. So
yeah. Okay, yeah. So and like I said, the whole Quickley situation baffles me. Obviously we know what he brings. We were talking about the whole Quickley Tyrese Maxey comparison on That's My Sports last night as well. So we know what Quickley brings. First round draft pick. The Knicks actually moved up back into the first round to get him. listen, I mean, it is what it is. I know he's undersized, but he's an electric, explosive player. And a lot of people like to say that he don't like to play defense. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've watched a lot of Emmanuel Quickly play. He brings the energy on both sides of the ball, defense included. And it's just kind of one of those things is like it's a waiting game now to see what happens. Now, honestly, what I will say is come the trade deadline, I will not be surprised if the Knicks actually go ahead and pull some assets for him. Not that we need any more than we already have going into the next few years, but it would make sense if they don't. If the front office decides, hey, listen, we're not willing to go above 20 M's for Emmanuel Quickly. We know other teams are going to want to do that. Let's cut losses where losses are already. But it kind of brings the points like, he's that guy. He's that scoring provider in that second unit. So if you're looking to be competitive this season, you kind of need him, right? So
what do you feel his ceiling is then?
In terms of like statistics or like where he can go in his career, like in terms of being a starter?
Yeah, either one. Whether you think is he J.R. Smith or is he someone that could be more than that? Like what? Because once again, at a point, J.R. Smith is getting 18 a night. So it's just like where do you think they see him as? Because to me personally, I'm telling you right now, if he became available, we had it. I'd be ready to bring him to Boston. Like I'm that high on him. Once again, I was going back and forth with Knicks fans because I was like, look, he's not better than Brogdon right now as a six man, but I was like, would I have taken him on team? Absolutely, because he's far from a scrub, and like you said, he's high energy. That's something that we need here, and that's something that many other teams need too. But I get the 20 million being too rich, but you know what team probably would take him? It's probably Dallas. Because
That's true.
That's what Mark Cuban is. He predicates himself on getting those type of guys, and he doesn't mind giving a little more than other teams usually give. You know, he didn't do it for Brunson, but maybe he sees Quickly as being a Brunson type replacement behind Luka. Who knows? And gives him 40, 90 million. Who knows?
So you're not projecting Kyrie to be on that Dallas Mavericks squad long term, are you?
Probably not. I mean, you know, I know he said what he said. Granted, he said what he had to say to get another 5-year deal, and I don't blame him.
Sure.
Once again, I want to see Kyrie play. I want to see him play, you know, for a long time. I don't see how it lasts unless they go crazy and get to the at least second round or maybe even you know, conference finals. They didn't even set the playoffs last year after getting him. There was like 5 good games they had, and then next thing you know, it was like the season was over. So we'll see. But you never know. But far as Quickly goes, man, I just think that I just think they need to figure out what, like you said, what his role is actually going to be. Do you want him to be the 6th man? I felt like Grimes took some minutes away from him as well. Because I think Tibbs likes his, you know, he likes how he defends, and I get it. If you can defend, you're good. You're going to play for Tom Thibodeau. You'll never think about Ronnie Brewer. Ronnie Brewer wasn't somebody that was like that, but because he could play in Chicago, play defense, he was there. So I get it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in terms of his ceiling, I definitely think that if I had to have it my way, I definitely would have him starting at the 2, above Quentin Grimes. But the second unit does need that score, which he is, and I get it. Him and his camp are not going to want to be coming off the bench his whole career. Understood. He's not going to be a glorified 6-man. His ceiling is way more than that. Right. So it is really about the situational fit with the Knicks. But let's move on and transition in terms of the Celtics, man. You guys had one of the best offseason in my mind. It was moving pieces upon moving pieces, players going that were integral to the squad in previous years, new players coming in, new faces. Like I said, I just said my piece on where I think, if fully healthy, the Celtics stack up in terms of their starting 5 around the league. Yeah. You know, what you see on the board, starting with Mazzulla officially being named the head coach and getting that extension. I know a couple of Celtics fans that I know, especially when they lost to the Heat, had some pretty bad things to say about Joe Mazzulla, but I'm going to let you speak here for a couple of seconds. Go down the board. And the guy that I didn't put in here, because unfortunately I didn't have enough space with how jam-packed your guys' offseason was the Payne Pritchard extension as well. Yeah. I think he got a rookie extension, which I am high on Payne Pritchard. I think he needs more minutes in Boston too. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he is moving forward in terms of being integrated over there in Boston. Right. But let me hear your thoughts, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll speak of Pritchard later on, but I definitely think that he definitely earned it, and he backed it up this preseason as well. So for Mazzulla, listen, if I would say the numbers would blame me 97% to 3 that would have said keep Joe or not keep Joe, fire him. Everyone was pissed. I was the leader of the pack. If you go back and listen to some of TMS, listen to some other show, like we were. Well, I wasn't. Aaron's not a Celtics fan, but we were livid. I was livid. Like it was like get him out of here. He doesn't know when to call a timeout, so on and so forth. So to see what he's done in this offseason, so bringing in Charles Lee, right, who was with Budenholzer in Milwaukee, I think sometime in Atlanta, to bring in Sam Cassell, who won championship here in Boston, and obviously is a 3-time champion as an NBA player. And then you go and then now you reach out to all your old players like Rondo, KG, Pierce, Leon Poe, and they're all around the team now, right? It's kind of like a college atmosphere to come back. They're imparting wisdom on them, and clearly, they're looking at season 2 for Joe a lot differently than they did last year, and it looks more comfortable. So I hope that translates to the bench, and I hope that translates to the team that permeates from 1 through 15. Because they're going to need it. They're going to need to be calm. They're going to need to be collected, and they're going to need to execute. So I'm hoping that starts with him, and that year 2 was much better for him than year 1. This offseason indicates that it's going to be, but obviously you still have to play the game. So next I'll go down to Jrue Holiday. Listen, that became really a pipe dream. It came out of nowhere for him to be dealt. I remember I was sitting here on a Sunday, because it happened on a Sunday. I just finished watching a church service, and like I said on the show right after, I said it felt like the Lord knew the Celtics prayers, baby. He knew. The Lord knew. Hey, we need a guard to replace Marcus Smart. We need a guard.
Must have been, man.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was like, you know what? Let me give you guys Jrue Holiday. Now, granted, you had to give a piece to Rob Williams that was beloved here. He's going to be great for Portland. I think Brogdon is also going to be great for Portland with his veteran leadership. But you needed that type of guard that can settle things down. And what can't be stated enough, whether it was from the coaching staff, the front office, well, not the front office. The front office had guys that was there for the championship, but players, coaches, they didn't have any players last year, the year before, when they went to the finals, that had won a championship as a player or even a coach. Like it's unbelievable. So that when I thought about that, I'm like, oh my God. I said we were this hard on him, and they had nobody that had been there. But that's once again, that's New York, that's Boston. We don't care, because it's like we don't see so much winning. We're like, no, figure it out. Like this is a big sports town. Like we're not. This is not Milwaukee. Not to shade on them, but Milwaukee is a small market. So just like this, not no small market team. So figure that shit out, so to speak. So that's what that was. So yeah, getting Jrue was monumental, I think, for this team. Once again, I mentioned on a show I did earlier this week, if he could be what Dennis Johnson was, and this is going old school, he could be what Dennis Johnson was, when they got him over there from Seattle, and they needed that extra push because that team, they got to the finals, they won, but then they lost back-to-back years. Philadelphia beat them, and then they got swept by Milwaukee. Dennis Johnson gets traded there. They beat the Lakers the next year. They go to 4 straight finals. So I'm hoping that history repeats itself there, and we win 2 of the 3 of the next 4 finals. Like I said, we'll see, but obviously health has to be a factor there. So yeah, but excited about the move. I think he's a great leader. And I'm excited to see how he does. Jaylen Brown, that also had people up in arms when it happened. For it to be 5 years, 305. Can he go left? Can he do this? Can he do that? Once again, you cannot replace 27 a night.
Yep, I agree.
So it's like to say, you could trade him, get rid of him. When you take a step back and take the emotion out of it, where are you going to find someone that can get you 27, 7, and 5 a night? Where? That once again, that is not growing on trees. So I'm excited about what he's going to do this season. I'm glad.
How's the fit there with Jason Tatum? What's the duo like there? Because I always get a weird vibe with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And correct me if I'm wrong, but those guys both need the rock, and I understand that. And I'm not saying that there's any sort of controversy there in terms of
No,
who is the franchise player, because I think we all agree that Jason Tatum probably is that franchise player, but Jaylen Brown is getting paid like it too now. So
right.
you got a kind of a duo now. And if they really want to get to that,
Mhm.
be that championship caliber team and build a dynasty, because I think the Celtics really can. They're set up to do that.
Yeah.
Those guys have to understand their roles and how to work with each other. And now you got Kristaps, when you talk about it here soon. He's another guy that'll need the ball in his hands too. So what's your take on that?
So I'm glad that you brought that up. So that actually was brought up in the interview, I think either a day or two ago when they had practice, and so they were doing like the post practice pressers. And Jaylen Brown said it. He was like, "Look," he said, "the difference between this year and what was said last year, maybe in years past, and that guys are getting their roles defined. You're this, you're that. You're on the bench player, you're doing this, you're doing that." So he was like, guys knowing their roles, they know what to do. And I think that's not something that really was said here, and especially when Marcus Smart was here, because I felt like Marcus Smart felt like he was the guy at times. And I think that rubbed people the wrong way, regardless of how much they love him as a player and as a person. He became the alpha because that's not naturally Tatum or Brown's demeanor. I think Brown's a little more of an alpha, but not to the point of he was going to be always talking and leading by action. Now they're forced into it now because they are the two longest tenure Celtics. So I'm glad you brought that up. So hopefully, like I said, now they're saying the right stuff. Once again, it's easy to be kumbaya on October 24th. It's real easy. It's real easy to be kumbaya. Let's see in January, like remember a couple years ago when RJ Barrett hit that game winner on us, and it's like, stay the course. Man, forget that. Luckily, they didn't go to the finals, the Celtics, but it was just I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like we've lost like 4 or 5 in a row. This is crazy. So we'll see when they have that type of stretch this year. What the narrative will be at that moment. So let's say, but hopefully the roles are defined, because the roles are defined, then we're good. You think everybody would look nice in Houston, Aaron? You think everyone would look nice in Houston? Just listen, enjoy Jalen Green, enjoy Fred VanVleet. Enjoy Alfred Sengun, aka Baby Jokic, because I think he's a hell of a player. So yeah, your time is coming. Relax. This is a big market talk here, baby. Boston, New York. Sure. Boston, New York. But Houston has a good thing going down there for sure, as well. So next, the Marcus Smart. I had to take a side with that, because he was the epitome of what it meant to be a Celtic. Yes, he drove us crazy with how he spoke, how he played at times. But once again, was a true member of the community, embraced and ingratiated himself to the city of Boston from day one. So for that, we're forever grateful, for what he did in the community. And even on the court, like I just have been a couple times behind the scenes. Super cool. Definitely the loudest in the locker room. So if someone tell you something different than lying, he was the loudest in the locker room. Him and Rob Williams, Grant Williams too. Grant Williams always talked. Like I got in trouble as a security guy talking to Grant Williams. That's how much Grant Williams talked. I said, "What you want me to do?" The man came on. He came on the court, started talking to me. Like, what do you want me to say? No, speak to the man. So yeah, we're gonna miss Marcus Smart and all the antics. But I mean, once again, when you get a guy like Porzingis, who now is I do find it funny how many people I didn't even know were Knicks fans were texting me. Oh, what do you think you're getting in this? He's not who you think he is, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's been talking about the health. And I want to use your platform to make this point that I'm about to make here, right? So last 3 years, so 43 games, 51 games, 65 games. Last time I checked, that's an increase the last 3 years. Not a decrease. And they go 65, 51, 43. It was the other way around. So he's starting to figure out his body again. He got healthier again, and he came off a career year. I get it. He was supposed to be the next guy there next to Melo. I get it. Because he started off very strongly up there. Very strong. Very strong. I was like, whoa. I said, okay, y'all gave Melo a guy that he can, kind of have the back half of his career with and go crazy. Unfortunately, that injury, change the landscape of things. But when I saw him this preseason, I'm like, yo, this dude's healthy. Yeah.
He looks reinvigorated.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how good he's looked. He's never been this open in his life, ever, unless he's been practicing. He's never been this wide open. Like you're having your third or fourth best defender guarding him. It's curtains. It's going to be easy, and it's never been this easy for Kristaps Porzingis. Even playing with the Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony, like there wasn't a third guy next to him that was taking the defender away. So I'm excited to see them. And then last but not least, Grant Williams is going to be missed. I know he kind of fell out of favor towards the end, but he gained my respect again in that Heat series. He talked trash to Jimmy, he poked the bear, whatever. He was the only guy talking. Brown didn't say shit. Tatum didn't say shit. All these dudes was just like, I don't want to send the Jimmy. Man, forget that, man. It's basketball. Like, you got to talk. Sometimes you got to talk your way into playing well. And that's how Jimmy is. And, it happens. He went crazy on just like he went crazy on Milwaukee. So I get it. But he regained my respect. But I think he's going to do great things in Dallas. Hopefully O'Shea Brissett and Lamar Stevens can replicate what he did here in Boston at times, if not better. And overall, I'm excited. And like I said, the Payton Pritchard deal as well. I think he just wanted to feel like he belonged, and that deal let him know that he belonged. And it should be, it should be a good season for him too.
Definitely. No, I agree. And like I said, I mean, the Celtics were busy this offseason. The Knicks not so much, but I feel like the reporters and everybody around the league now with these reports coming out, I think the Knicks have the assets now, both on their roster and in draft pick compensation, to go out there and get that star that we've so desperately needed to either or definitely join Jalen Brunson, but we'll see in terms of how that package works in terms of if RJ Barrett's sticking around and Julius Randle sticking around as well. And just before we move on, let's move on. Let's start starting lineups here, and then I'll give my piece on Julius Randle because I'm sick and tired of the Julius Randle discourse that I'm seeing. So
just a quick aside too. I forgot this guy was on your team until I saw him in the preseason. Cause I know the Celtics need to back up big. I really like Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, man.
I like his game a lot. I think he plays hard. Once again, not super polished offensively, but does enough. And once again, I know we love Cornette up here. Cornette is our Cam Reddish up here. People love Luke Cornette. Luke Cornette doing the Show Miles Swift celebrations on the sidelines. I get it. But if he for some reason became available because y'all not playing him, I would take Isaiah Hartenstein as another backup big.
Most definitely, and he had a great season. He started off a little slow. People are like, "What the hell's going on here? Why is he getting minutes?" We got Jericho Sims, and he literally accepted his role, and like he does the dirty work. And he's probably one of the better passing bigs in the league. I'm not sure if you see the dimes that he drops, but it's absolutely spectacular what he's able to do.
And he can tip out the building. I'm talking about Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims on the building, yeah.
So, yeah, truly like the Knicks have gritty players. That's what I'm saying. Like we just need a little bit more polish from a big man because we're not getting that Mitchell Robinson either. So, moving on, projected starting lineups. We'll see tonight. I think this is how it's going to shake out. Obviously, classic. We got Jalen Brunson. We just dropped that stat. He's going to be the first player since Chris Duhon, starting point guard for the Knicks back-to-back seasons since 08-09. Quentin Grimes, like I said, I really want to see Quentin Grimes take that leap forward this year. Defensive stud, but sometimes definitely hesitates and second guesses himself on the offensive side of the ball. Would like to see him take it to the rack more confidently. I think that's something that he's been working on this offseason. We'll see if that comes to fruition on the court. RJ Barrett, man, I know he got that extension 4-year, $100 million. The inconsistency is something that I'm concerned about. He's a perpetually slow starter in the regular season. That's been happening every single year of his career so far. And I really want to see that narrative change this year. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on RJ Barrett 1000%. Julius Randle, man, listen, JR30. This is like the tail, like New York sports just has this thing where it's like people on Twitter, that fan base, whether it's the Mets, whether it's the Giants, like Daniel Jones, like people are 50-50 on New York players, right? And Julius Randle's no exception on Twitter. Um, obviously, he's a great regular season player. And I love that because I like he puts up the numbers and he's a true workhorse in terms of games played, minutes played under Tom Thibodeau.
Right.
Tom Thibodeau was running Julius Randle into the ground.
Yeah.
His playoff track record, not so great, especially as a Knick. We saw the 2020-2021 season. He was getting locked up by John Collins. They didn't have much help. Last season, coming off that ankle injury, unfortunate for when it happened, but he came back, didn't really produce as big as people really thought that he was going to. Listen, man, I'm all for it, but like I will say this. I will say this up front. I am a Julius Randle supporter. I just cannot find it in my bones to not support this guy when I think that the Knicks relevancy really took a 180 when he joined this franchise.
Yep.
Like he is a huge reason why this franchise is relevant again. And it started with him.
Yep. Just
What was that?
Just like Amari Stoudemire when he came.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Well, albeit Julius Randle's a lot younger than what Amari Stoudemire was when he came over, but just same situation, 100%. Right. They were the starters. They kickstarted that relevancy. I just want to say that's all I'll say. I don't want to, I'm not going to cause a stir here. We'll see what happens in the 82 here.
Why not? Cause a stir. It's your show. Cause a stir. Cause a stir.
Because it's like Julius. I mean, like Julius is an all-NBA player.
Yeah,
all-NBA player.
Yeah, Julius Randle
put some respect on Julius Randle's name. Like that's all I gotta say.
Say what. Yeah, there you go. Stand on it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And listen, I bet you Knicks fans wasn't mad when he hit that game winner in Miami. And y'all thought y'all was on a hell of a run. That was a hell of a play too. That was a hell of a shot. I thought it was gonna fall out of bounds. He hit that shot over Jimmy Butler. I was like, oh, that's a big time shot. Big time players made big time plays. And he's made a few of those in his time here. So I'm just like, he's really thrived under playing under Tibbs. And I just feel like, once again, you have to have a certain type of mentality to play under him. And he's responded to the challenge every time. Yeah. And I think that's because he also played with Kobe too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like if you can play with Kobe and he gets on, he got on his ass. He was like, okay, like this ain't nothing to me. But this is just how it's supposed to be. So, and I know you mentioned the thing about Cap. Cap played under Tibbs. He had his best season under Tibbs. Just saying. So if it's just like if he had his best season under him, why not? Why not?
So what do you think? What do you think a trade package starts with for Cat in terms of the Knicks? If you're the Knicks,
say it again.
What does a trade package for Karl-Anthony Towns start with if you're the Knicks for Cat?
Well, if you're not gonna pay quickly, put him in the deal. So quickly,
sure.
I would say 2 first rounders. I'm not going crazy like how Utah went for Gobert or whatever. Minnesota they went for Gobert 5 picks. That's insane. But 2 first rounders. But I would ask for a third team to get involved. I would ask for a third team to get involved. Maybe even a 4th team, so that you can find a mover. But I think from New York side, quickly, a couple first rounders. I don't know what you want to throw in there. Maybe I guess you throw in Mitchell Robinson, I guess, as well.
I was gonna say he's not safe either. He's not safe either.
So quickly, Robinson, 2 first rounders, and then like I say you add on players from other teams to go to Minnesota. I think that's how it will look. Because like I said, I think him and Randall together will look pretty good. Now I understand
it look great offensively, maybe not defensively.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, the game, and the words of Celtics legend Bill Russell, the game is and always has been about getting buckets. So if you score more than the other team, you're doing a good job.
So, I agree with you. I agree with you.
And I get it. I know Tibbs doesn't want to win 141 to 130, but this is a new NBA, and you're not going to win 87 to 82. It's not going to happen. Not now, anyways. Sure. Too many guys to score. You got 8th, 9th man guy that can get 20 a night. Like that's just what it is. So you have to adjust with the times. And Karl-Anthony Towns is 6'11", and there's nothing he can't do. And once again, that's not an opinion. Just watch the tape. He shoot from 3. He play off the dribble. Like the dude can do everything. And once again, when he's right mentally, there's not somebody that can fuck with him. And once again, we've seen it firsthand. So I would love, and once again, how dope would that would be? He comes there and y'all play Miami again, and he can just go at Jimmy. Oh, that would be phenomenal. That would be great. That would be great. That would be great. So I mean, I just think that's something that to me that makes more sense than the Embiid talk, because once again, as soon as Embiid gets hurt, y'all gonna kill him.
Yep.
And so you think it's bad about Karl Anthony Towns? You think it's bad with that? Let him get hurt for 4 or 5 games because whatever. Oh,
yep. He's gonna. Yeah. The thing is, that's
what Frank Isola.
Kristaps got ran out of town.
Boys gonna go crazy.
Yeah, Kristaps got ran out of town for the same reason. Obviously, he started yapping his mouth too, but he got ran out of town just the same. So, but that's what I'm saying about Julius Randle. He's the epitome of New York. Like, he's the tough workhorse,
right,
that stays on the court, regardless if you like him or not. Like, I understand that sometimes his effort can be questioned because he does walk up and down the court, take some plays off. I understand that, but he is on the court when the Knicks need him. And what more can you really ask for? And especially in today's NBA, you see what's going on with it in LA with the Clippers with Kawhi. Like, come on now, let's be real here. Let's shift focus here to Boston. I mean, like I said, I have nothing but respect for this lineup. This is a tough lineup. It's going to be a tough lineup to outscore first and foremost. And you add the defensive factor here with Drew Holiday as well, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Mazzulla hasn't showed his cards just yet. We're presuming that Derek White does slide over to the shooting guard position.
He does it all the time.
Exactly.
Just say who started. Just
exactly.
Say who started.
My question is that I know you said Horford's going to be a 6th man. What's going on with Time Lord? I haven't heard any updates about him.
Well, no, Time Lord is in Portland. He was in that deal.
Oh, he was part of the trade.
Yeah.
That's what I messed up. I was like, where is he at? That's what I'm saying. So okay, now I'm understanding.
Brogdon, Rob. And 2 first rounders went to Portland in that deal. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that changes. It doesn't change the ball game really necessarily, but I was just like, hold on, where does he fit into this equation? Because I was mixed up for a second. I was like, what's going on there?
So basically, your bench is going to be Horford. And I think it depends on the game, but Horford, Payne Pritchard. I really like Lamar Stevens. I think that he's gritty. He's tough. O'Shea Brissett at certain times are going to get some minutes. Jordan Walsh right now is more of a fringe rotation guy. Like, I think he might crack the top 10 on a given night. But yeah, so Horford, Pritchard, Lamar Stevens, Brissett, and then I feel like I'm missing one. I'm missing another guy because they brought some people over too. I forgot. But those are probably the guys that's going to be there. And once again, if everyone's healthy for the most part, two of these top 6 are going to be on the court at all times. So whether that's Holiday and Porzingis in the bench, Derek White, Porzingis in the bench, or Tatum and Brown in the bench, like whoever it may be, there's always going to be 2 of those guys out there, hopefully. And I'm hoping for healthy seasons across the board. Once again, I feel like the preseasons get shorter and shorter, but there has been some more practice time, so I'm hoping that Boston stays healthy, New York stays healthy. Honestly, I'm gonna be real. I'm hoping all the big market teams stay healthy, because I'm sorry, it's not. I'm not looking to see Portland go far. This is not Clyde Drexler. This is not Cliff Robinson. This is not Terry Porter walking through that door, Rasheed Wallace when we were kids. It's not Rasheed Wallace. It's not Bonzi Wells. It's not that Portland. So I'm not looking to see them go to the finals. I want to see a big market team in the finals, period. Or a team that has a superstar talent. I want to see them in the finals, not some 2 just thrown together teams. Kind of like how we're seeing in baseball right now. Texas and Arizona in the World Series. I'm like, once again, Texas has played really well, so is Arizona. But I'm like, I mean, it's just like, okay, it's like, once again, if you're a baseball fan, you're like, okay, that's cool, that's great. But to the casual, you're like, okay, I don't know anybody. You might know Evan Longoria, maybe. So
what do you think about Denver in the finals last season in terms of I mean, they're not really a big market team either.
No, they're not. So, but once again, you got the best player in basketball. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think that was a little different, but I don't think that series wasn't watched a lot outside of those 2 markets, because now, I mean, once again, those that are hardcore fans like myself, Aaron, we were watching it because we just love the sport. But to the casual fan, you're not watching Jokic and Jamal Murray. You're not doing that. You're not watching Jimmy and Gabe Vincent go off. You're not watching that. So I doubt that we'll see a finals like that for a very long time. Once again, I think Denver might be involved, but it could be, like I said, it could be Celtics Nuggets, or it could be Phoenix Boston, it could be Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be something different than what we've seen in years past, for sure. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. In terms of tonight's matchup, I'm actually really curious in terms of how the distribution of scoring goes for Boston. I think that's going to be the talk every single night between Brown, Tatum, and Porzingis, and we'll see how that ball is moved around today, or tonight, I should say. Tip-offs here in just about an hour or so. One thing I wanted, I know we're talking about, we're delving into the Eastern Conference now. You think the Heat messed up by not offering up a package for Dame? You think they messed up?
I don't know they messed up. I just think that Joe Cronin said he put the 2 middle fingers up and said, I'm not dealing with y'all. Once again, Joe Cronin did what he was supposed to do as an executive. So my Miami Heat fans are mad, but I'm like, that package he ended up getting for Dame Lillard was nowhere close to what Miami was going to be able to offer. Once again, from a business side, we're not talking about what you wanted in your fantasy land. This is not, once again, fantasy sports in general has ruined everything, but that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Sure.
But it's just like Joe Cronin did what he was supposed to do for the team. For him to get Brogdon, Holiday, Holiday was a part of it, but
at the time,
at the time, but you get Brogdon, Ayton, Rob Williams, three or four first round picks. Like that's that. I mean, there's no way that Miami came up with that. And once again, unless you were offering Bam Adebayo, and once again, granted, Bam is very good. So, but that is someone they hold near and dear down there. He's going to be the next guy that's there for years to come. They're going to make sure he's signed. They may let other people go. Bam Adebayo will be a lifelong Heat if he wants to be. I just firmly believe that. So, yeah, you weren't going to part ways with him. So they're like, okay, cool, fine. We got it. And he did what was best for the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah. Dame. Once again, and also, he sent Dame to play with the top 3 player in the world. It wasn't like he sent him to Cleveland.
Dame, for sure.
I'm not getting on Cleveland, but it's just like he didn't send him there. He just sent him to Brooklyn. To play with Mikal Bridges. I can't believe that was even a report. I'm like, what are we talking about? Once again, Mikal Bridges is a hooper. He has come alive since joining the Brooklyn Nets. Once again, that's not a. But there's no way they would have been the Portland of the East if he went over to Brooklyn. So once again, Dame ended up being in a great situation. Portland came out great in the deal. So it was a win-win. But I think Pat Riley, is old school and wasn't going to budge, and that's fine. And it cost them. So, but they'll get somebody later on in the season. It just won't be, it won't be of the stature of, the Drew Holidays, Dame Lewis of the world. They'll get somebody in the buyout market that, ends up being a major part of the team.
Yeah, I was going to say the Eastern Conference is getting really interesting. You have the Boston Celtics, obviously, and Bucks basically right in the thick of things. Probably going to be 1A, 1B right there. When it's all said and done. The Heat, obviously, like we know they got to the finals, but they didn't really make any drastic additions or subtractions. I know Tyler Hero's taking that a little personally as well in terms of his comments. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers, finished as the 4 seed last year. Donovan Mitchell's tenure there is going to be a really interesting situation to see how that plays out. I don't think he wants to be in Cleveland at all. So we'll see what happens there. And then you said Brooklyn, and I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody here or there. I mean, the Hawks will trade. I don't know.
Philly as well. Once again, Philly's going to be they're going to be a top 5.
You know how I feel about Philly. I think they're in purgatory, man. I don't know if they're I don't know.
Well, I'm saying record-wise, like if everyone's healthy, they're going to be in the top 5 in the East.
Yeah.
It's just once again, I don't think they're going to do much come playoff time. So that's purgatory, and that's fine. I mean, once again, I'm here for it because I can't stand Philadelphia or the other fans. So I'm all for that. So we'll see, but we'll see if Atlanta comes back. I'd love to see y'all against Atlanta again. That was.
Oh my god, man. I don't see it, man. I don't think they got the heart over there. Don't even bring me to that. We had Elfrid Payton as our starting point guard. Come on now. Let's get real. We done been moved on.
I love it. That's how sports supposed to be, man. Hey,
for sure.
Salute to you too, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Appreciate you tuning into the stream. Salute to Mill. Yeah, man, it's interesting. The Eastern Conference is going to be certainly something to watch out for, especially in the coming years. I mean, this year for in particular, but the coming years as well in terms of moving pieces. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's move on here. Got a couple other topics before we head off here. X Factor, one player from each team. I'll say it for the Knicks. You say it for the Celtics. I'll let you start off with this one. Who's the X factor in your mind? Don't have to be the obvious. Well, it
Right.
could be the obvious, but don't have to be the obvious. Who's the X factor for you in terms of having that successful season for the Boston Celtics?
Uh, Payne Pritchard. Payne Pritchard. I think that him.
I love that, dude. I love that choice.
I think most people that know me think I was going to say Derek White, and I think Derek White could still be that. But once again, we know what Derek White is. He's going to get you 12 a night, 5 assists. I mean, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Like that is his. That's his game. And eventually, every now and then, he might get you 25 in the game. Like that. That's just how Derek White is. But Pritchard's ability to shoot, and there are going to be times when they need scoring off the bench, and he's going to be huge for us because he's going to be the difference between some nights of us winning by 10, or if he gets really hot, us winning by 25. Like that. That's how streaky of a shooter he can be. So I hope that he's the X factor. And if I can add one more bit, maybe Lamar Stevens too. I feel like he's someone that can be big off the bench. So, but yeah, Pritchard for sure. I think is someone that can be the X factor for the Celtics this season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, Payne Pritchard, man, I've been high on that guy. Wasn't really understanding why he wouldn't get in the minutes in terms of distribution, but I love that choice right there. I'm gonna go two guys as well, since you did as well. I think I'm going to say the obvious in terms of the addition that we had in terms of the outside shooting. I think Dante DiVincenzo really for that second unit in terms of our outside shooting and being able to score. We know what quickly provides. Josh Hart not really scored, but can score when he needs to. I think Dante DiVincenzo and that quickly pairing is going to do wonders for the second unit if he replicates anything like he did in terms of his, what he did in Golden State. But I think my guy that I really need to see, and I already said it in the show. I wanted to say RJ Barrett, but I just can't see RJ Barrett putting together any sort of long-term consistency being the third option behind, especially Julius Randle. I just can't see it with the way his career's played out so far. I'm not saying that he's not going to be a Knick long-term. I'm not saying that that he doesn't have every right to be that third option. But when the Knicks drafted him, let's be real, they drafted him to potentially be a first option moving forward for the New York Knicks, and that just hasn't materialized. And I don't think that'll ever materialize in New York. That could happen elsewhere. Don't get me wrong. He has the talent to have that happen elsewhere. It's not going to happen in New York with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson.
Right.
I think it's going to be Quentin Grimes. That's my X factor. Because it's like, the outside shooting, one thing. We know the Knicks need outside shooting. He's a pretty damn good three-point shooter. Inconsistent, but pretty damn good three-point shooter. We know what he brings from the defensive side of the ball. But if he's able to alleviate some of that pressure from Jalen Brunson, I mean, listen, I just can't see it. If RJ Barrett stays the same, he stays consistent in terms of what he produces, he can get you 15, 20, whatever. You know what Julius Randle is going to provide, especially in the regular season. Jalen Brunson's a dog. Who's really the X factor in terms of scoring the rock? Because I think that's the Knicks' issue. They can grind teams down on the defensive side of the ball, really be a nuisance and win those low-scoring games. But if we play a team like Boston, if we play a team like Milwaukee, and we need to shoot the ball well to keep up with the scoring pace, like you said, what matters the most in today's NBA? Getting buckets.
Right. Yeah.
And the Knicks need to do more of that.
Yeah.
Especially to get further and past the second round,
yeah.
which I think they have the ability to do this season. So I think it's going to be Quentin Grimes because, I mean, I don't know. I just not impressed when I see the ball in his hands. I see a very timid player. A young player, albeit, but I see a very timid player in terms of the offensive side of the ball for Quentin Grimes. So if he can replicate any sort of confidence and take the ball to the rack predominantly strong and alleviate some scoring pressure off the other guys, I think the Knicks are going to be in tip-top shape. Now, the one thing that I'm pretty much scared about with the Knicks moving forward is who's going to be that second forward for the second unit. Is RJ Barrett going to stay back and play extended minutes to fill in the 3, Josh Hart at the 4, or is Obi Toppin's brother, Jacob Toppin, going to get a legitimate shot to play the power forward behind Julius Randle? Because we don't have a power forward to back up Julius Randle now. We don't.
I mean, Julius Randle plays 42 minutes a night anyway, so.
That's true too. But I mean, for for those other 6 minutes, who's playing? So you know what I mean? So
that's fair. I mean, unless you go double big and have Sims and Hartenstein,
and that's what Tibbs was alluding to. But
yeah, which could be possible. Now
yes.
offensively, that would be a nightmare. If we're being honest, but but if I could add X factor for you, I think Mitchell Robinson should be an X factor for you.
Sure.
I think that his play at the rim should change things, whether it's offensively or defensively. You should be able to throw it up to him, throw it up to the sky, and he go get it. And if he could just become a 55% free throw shooter, y'all are in business.
Yep. I was gonna say,
don't 75. Can you make 55% of them, and we just go from there? Because once again, he's going to catch that rim. He's going to swat it into the stands. Spike Lee and Ben Stiller going crazy. I think he's the X factor. And once again, I can say Josh Hart because I'm very high on Josh Hart, but I just think when you need that rim protector, the guy that can alter shots, I'm always going to go with that guy being as an X factor down low. So.
I was going to say that the Knicks have a team full of X factors. Like I said, this is like one of the grittier teams. They're not going to wow you on paper in terms of talent like the Celtics Bucks do, but they just have a complete unit in their full man rotation. We'll see what kind of rotation Tibbs decides to instill this season. But 1 through 8 or 1 through 10, whatever it is, I mean, all of those guys are going to have to contribute. And that's what I like about the Knicks moving forward, because I think each and every guy that Tibbs trouts out there will give it 100%, 10%, and will give it their all. So we have our X Factor players there. And like you said about Mitchell Robinson, I want to give a shout out to Mitchell Robinson, man. Big Mitch. Love him. It ended up being a steal of a contract that the Knicks signed him to, and you saw him give the Cavaliers fits in that first round. Jared Allen looked like he was lost out there with Mitchell Robinson on him in that Cavs team.
The lights were too bright out there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, come on. I can't believe that was
turn off the lights.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's crazy. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens. But I love that Peyton Pritchard pick, man. I definitely would have to reiterate that for you all as well if I had to choose an X factor for you all. Last but not least, let's get into tonight's matchup a little bit. What we're looking for, what are you watching for in tonight's matchup from either side of the ball? This should be an exciting matchup. I'm actually happy that we get to start off with a bang here. Boston, New York doesn't get more classic than that. What are you looking for, man?
I'm looking for Jaylen Brown to go off. Last time he was out there on opening night, he gave you out 46. So I'm looking for him to go off. I'm looking for him to go crazy. But the biggest thing, I'm watching for both teams to be healthy. Just leave the game healthy. Like that's all I care about. Once again, I want the Celtics to win, obviously, but I want both sides to be healthy, and I want Jaylen Brown to go for 40.
Yep. I mean, I was gonna say Jaylen Brown. Honestly, I don't even know if this sounds ridiculous as a Celtics fan, but Jaylen Brown almost scares me more than Jason Tatum does, and I'm being so serious about that. Not to disrespect Jason Tatum in any way, but in terms of the pure scoring ability, and in terms of being that threat, I'm more afraid of Jason Brown and the fact, or Jaylen Brown, sorry. But the fact that those two are on the same team on the court together in the same uniform is just absolutely mind-boggling. So that transitions me into what I'm looking for in terms of the Knicks' defensive intensity. We all know Tibbs is a defensive-minded coach. If you can play defense, if you play it well, if you play defense hard, you will be on the court. This is a tough test, game 1 for the New York Knicks. Do they have what it takes, and are they going to start this season off with a bang on the defensive side of the ball to stop the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis? Are they going to start this season off on the right foot, or are they going to go at home and watch the Celtics score all over them? I want to see how the defense plays. Are we making those trends? Are we making those switches? Are we moving around, and are the rotations on point? Because I think, and something I didn't say in that Heat series, I don't think the Knicks' rotations in terms of the perimeter, the Heat were a great passing team in the playoffs last season.
Yeah.
Great passing the ball in the perimeter. And the Knicks' rotations just simply couldn't keep up.
Right.
And I think the Knicks need to do a better job there. I'm not sure what that takes in terms of talking, chemistry. I don't know what it takes, but the rotations need to be better, especially on that three ball. Because more often than not, someone was open in that corner, whether it was Strus or Gabe Vincent for the Miami Heat in that playoff series, round 2 against the New York Knicks. So other than that, like I said, RJ Barrett, how is he going to start? Is he going to be a typical slow RJ Barrett start, or is he going to start the season on the right foot? So, listen, man, that's all I have. If there's any other additional takes that you want to get off in terms of Celtics Knicks tonight, please feel free to do so. But that's all I have on my side. So,
No, yeah, no, same. That's how I'm excited for the season. I think this is going to be another one for the Bucks. I think that the NBA always delivers for me. Basketball's usually my favorite sport. I mean, I watch everything equally, but basketball by far is my favorite sport. So I'm hoping for a great season. And once again, I just want health across the board, so there's no excuses for any fan bases as to what happened. So. But yeah, I said, I appreciate you having me on. This was awesome. And I'm looking forward to this happening at some other point in the future.
Definitely. Like I said, make sure you guys, if you're watching the rerun or you're watching it live, hit that thumbs up, comment your thoughts and opinions. You can still comment your thoughts and opinions after this is done when you're watching the rerun. Maybe we hit on some points tonight and we'll see it tonight. Maybe we're way off base. We'll get into the later part of the season, closer to the playoffs, where we watch this and say, man, we were really wrong about that. So we'll see what happens. You guys know where to find me, man. X, Instagram, YouTube, all that. Same handle as CPNY Sports. Tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe to the channel, especially if you're a New York sports fan. But we do other stuff. I do other stuff with a lot of other people in terms of content creators that is not just New York sports. And, Hollywood Ray, man, I'm going to let you spit off where you're at again. Plug yourself. You can't plug yourself enough, man. You guys are doing some great stuff, and I want to make sure people are tuning in. So make sure you're
sure. Yeah, so you just pull up on the ticker there, but so Hollywood. So you find me on X, like I said, _Big Wale. Subscribe to our That's My Sports page on YouTube. And any other. So once again, y'all are following us on Twitter. Y'all starting to believe in us on Twitter. So the same love you're giving on Twitter, we need you to bring that over to YouTube as well. And the same thing for Missing the Point. We have a good amount of subscribers, but once again, it's never enough. So just continue to show us love on there. Follow us at MTP_pod. Type in Missing the Point podcast to subscribe on YouTube. And I'll just give a shout out to you doing it, because I remember when Aaron told me this was going to start, and I forget the number that you were at, but the number you were at for our subscribers, that has jumped a good amount from where it was when you and him started. So like it speaks to what you've been doing, or what you've been putting in, whether it's on camera, off camera. So, shout out to you, man. Keep doing the great work, whether it's with this show or any other show that you have your hands on. So keep it going.
Definitely. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the love there. We'll definitely have you back on the True Knicks Talk podcast, especially later on this season. Perhaps just to talk some ball in general, perhaps to preview another Celtics Knicks matchup, whenever that may be. I think you said November 13th.
Yeah, well, the next one's November 13th. That's on a Monday.
Okay.
So that might be a little more difficult, but unless we did something on the weekend, I'm okay with that. Like I said, we could talk off air about that. So.
Definitely sounds good. I appreciate everyone tuning in to another edition of the True Knicks Talk podcast. Now that baseball season is under wraps, the Giants are looking like they're going to pull the Giants this season. We'll see what happens there. Knicks and Rangers content definitely going up with the guys from That's My Sports, Ray Sean, Aaron from the That's My Sports podcast. I definitely appreciate you hopping on. As always, guys, I appreciate y'all. And unfortunately, Ray Sean, let's go Knicks, man. See y'all later.
Peace.